I've got a few more questions to ask the Vatican's chief exorcist. Thank you for seeing me again, Father. Just a few more questions. Critics would say that possession can be explained away by psychiatric disorders like multiple personality. What do you say to them?
During those exorcisms in which one can determine if a person is possessed or if the person is psychologically ill, strange things can occur. For example, the person speaks languages that he absolutely does not know, that the person knows hidden things that he cannot know, that the person levitates. I once had a farmer who had to be held down by 6 men. He was so furious, and during the exorcism he levitated roughly this much.
Do you refer possibly possessed people to psychiatrists?
Yes, I do send people to psychiatrists. In fact, I have a joking manner. When I see that the person is not demonically possessed, I say, "You have no devil. If you have problems, go find a good vet."
I think it might be time to see a shrink. A man with extraordinary experience of what some call demons. Dr. Sanderson.
That's right. Good to see you, Tony.
How are demons and possession viewed by psychiatrists today?
With a great deal of skepticism. I don't myself use the term demonic possession. I've never come across a case, if indeed it exists. So I prefer to use the term spirit attachment rather than possession. The spirits which most commonly influence people are human spirits. The spirits of people who've died, and the spirit, instead of going on into the light, into the spirit world, has, for some reason or other, stayed behind.
So you speak with spirits?
Well, I can play you a tape of one of my patients, and then you'll have a much better idea of what actually happens. This is a young woman of 33, we'll call her Louise, and she'd been admitted to one of my beds at Fairfield Hospital with a panic attack. Now, panic attacks are common, but it's the only patient I've ever seen who'd had such an outsized panic attack that she was admitted to hospital with it. And she'd also had terrible headaches and depression and quite a lot of problems. And I treated her using hypnosis, which I commonly do with my patients.
Under hypnosis, Louise's subconscious revealed that she did have a spirit attachment. A stubborn, middle-aged woman named Gladys.
So I said, well, I think I'll have a word with Gladys. And can Gladys come forward? And she said, yes. And so I spoke to Gladys. And this is where I think I'll just play the tape, and you can hear what came over. Now tell me this. How old was Louise when you joined her?
When she was born.
She, at the moment of birth or before?
No, when she was born. At the moment of birth.
At the moment of birth. I see.
These are Dr. Sanderson's sound recordings of actual sessions, where the voice of the spirit Gladys spoke through his patient, Louise.
Do you feel that she's going to need you for much longer?
Yes.
All her life?
Yes.
I see. Well, it's really nice to talk to you. It's very nice to know that you are very concerned about her, and I'm sure Louise is happy about that. But I think we also need to consider the effect that you're having on Louise. She doesn't know which feelings are yours and which are hers. And now I can imagine that perhaps you haven't always approved of
Louise's friend.
Oh, no.
No.
Not the men.
No, not quite. So you've actually tried to get them out of her life?
Oh, I don't.
Yes.
Brutes.
When I brought Louise out of hypnosis and I asked her about this Gladys, and she said, well, I'm not sure, but I think there may have been a great aunt who died a long time before I was born. She died at the age of 55 of cancer. She'd had a pretty unhappy life with a husband who was alcoholic and behaved badly to her. And the great tragedy in her life was the loss of her son, Roy.
Gladys, I was sorry to learn that your life was such a difficult one. You often think of it now.
All the time.
Do you? And with very deep unhappiness, I think, don't you?
Yes. And anger.
And anger, yeah. Who is it that you're angry with, Gladys? Your husband?
Yes.
What was his name?
Michael.
Michael, yeah.
So violent, so nasty.
Violent to you, was he?
Dirty.
No. And you had two other children, of course, but it was Roy that was really a favourite.
Well, he was my boy.
How old was he when he died?
28.
Yeah.
Gladys's anger is the key to the problem, and she needs some therapy. Fortunately, therapy with spirits is very much quicker than therapy with embodied people.
Why?
I can only tell you from experience it just is. And it happens in just 2 or 3 minutes. I told her that what she needed now, having released that anger, was just to go on and go on into the spirit world.
Now think back to the time with Roy. Think how proud you were as a young mother when he was born. Isn't that a wonderful time? So proud of yourself. At last, boy, and he grew up so beautifully and you were so proud of him right through his childhood. And then as a young man, was he very good looking? Was he? Yeah. You were in love with him, weren't you?
Oh, he was wonderful.
Yeah. And then the accident, and that made you so sad. That's what really broke you, didn't it? It made you so unhappy. But Gladys, do you know something? When you decide to leave Louise and go into the light, you can be with Roy again and meet him again. Did you realize that? I'm sure that Roy will come and meet you and take you into the light, and that's going to be a wonderful experience for you. So, Gladys, I'd like to suggest that now is the time to leave that anger behind. Just have the experience. Gently rising up out of your body, leaving behind the anger at your early death. Leaving behind the anger with Michael. Leaving behind the anger at the loss of Roy. Just rise up out of your body. How did it feel to be released from it?
Yes, wonderful.
Good. So now, when you're ready, all you need to do, Gladys, is just to look round and you see Roy. Just look round and see. There he is.
Yes.
Isn't that a wonderful surprise?
Oh,
How's he looking?
he's wonderful.
Great. And how is he greeting you?
He's waving.
All right, so let him come close. Take him in your arms.
Oh.
Isn't that wonderful?
God, it's true.
Well,
that's cool.
It's a very moving experience for Gladys and for me.
Yeah, mate.
Yeah. It's
true.
It's quite some years since I listened to that, but it's good to hear it again. And once the spirit goes into the light like that, they don't come back. When I first started this work, I didn't do it so effectively, and one or two did come back. But if you can be sure that they really go, then they go.
Yeah.
And it's always worth checking once you've released spirits and you think it's all finished, then you ask again, is there anyone there? And that's what I did.
But some spirits are not so benign.
It's always worth checking once you've released spirits and you think it's all finished, then you ask again, is there anyone there? And that's what I did.
Okay.
So I'll play the next little bit.
How does that feel, Louise? You left her now?
Yes, she's gone. I feel quite happy for her.
That's nice. Just reaching out to your subconscious at a deep level. I think you'll just check and make sure and see whether there's anyone else with you that can help. Subconscious, just please answer through Louise's fingers. Subconscious, is there anybody else with Louise now? Is there anybody hiding, possibly? There is. I see. Is there more than one person, Louise? Oh, more than two people with Louise? Yeah. So there are two people with Louise. Yeah, just. What's it? Sorry. Just be on your feet.
Well, something was happening, and that was a bit of a surprise to me. In all, she had 4 spirits with her, and having released them, she was really transformed. I didn't have to do any more therapy with her, and she lost all these symptoms, the headaches, the panic attacks, the depression, and she also lost, I don't know what, 8 or 9 kilos in weight. I'm not quite sure what that was related to. In a month or 6 weeks. Quite quickly.
Wow. Though Louise declined to be interviewed, she's now completely recovered and living a normal life.
The thing that strikes me most about the spirits that Dr. Sanderson exercises in his own very gentle way is their humanity. And Gladys being released from her anger and her joy at joining her son that she loves so much. Perhaps demons are just lost, sometimes angry spirits, not so different from us. They're people, just without the body.